Good evening to all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 19th September 2023, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay. So these are all the articles which we are going to have a deep analysis in the upcoming slides. Have a look at it. The first news is related to Parliament Secretariat. So as Parliament turns 75, the story of its backbone, the Secretariat. As we all know, the Secretariat acts as the backbone for the functioning of the Indian Parliament. It guides the members of the Parliament to discharge their functions. It is the professional body which advises the presiding officers. In the case of Lok Sabha, it is the Speaker. In the case of Rajya Sabha, it's the Chairman. And then it also enables the access for the information to the MPs. Well, during early 1920s, more precisely during 1925, the Vithalbhai Patel was the first elected Speaker to the Central Assembly, where he pitched an idea about making separate office for the legislature. But during the late 1920s, the famous Central Assembly bombing by Bhagat Singh as well as Bhatakeshwar Dutt, the British government has employed the police officers in safeguarding the Parliament. But because of the continuous effort by the Vithalbhai Patel, in 1929, a separate office for the legislature was created. So as the Parliament evolved, a new kind of officers like record keepers, librarian, as well as the Secretary General, and these and other etc. And the other kind of the new offices were created according to the evolution of the Parliament in India. And during 1861, Secretary of State sent a communication to the Governor General of India, where he has mentioned that the proceedings of the Parliament needed to be made public so that the common people could be able to access what is happening inside the Parliament, that is the legislature. But it has not been implemented on the ground in India during that period of time. But because of the continuous effort by the Vithalbhai Patel, and then in 1929, it led to creation of separate office, a new kind of officer called parliamentary reporter, where he will be reporting the proceedings as well as the details given by the ministers as well as the speeches of the other member of parliaments by typing in the shorthand and then publishing it in the newspapers or other medias. And then during 1937, M.N. Call has formed a parliamentary research as well as reference service, a separate kind of service, to ensure that the ministers as well as the other member of the parliaments could be able to have access to important details that enable them to have a discussion in relation to the bills that was introduced in the legislatures, and also a new kind of critics as well as analysis in relation to the bill will be taking place if the particular member could be able to access these kind of information which is available from a parliamentary research and reference service, which was introduced by M.N. Call. He was the secretary for the Constitution Assembly of India, and then and also because of his effort, in 1956 he started pushing for separate building for the office space of the legislatures. And then as a result of which, a separate building for the office of the legislatures were created, where the officers of the legislatures were employed to do their jobs. And then in 1964, the interpretations of the language being spoken by the member of the parliament was implemented. Firstly, the interpretation was made only in Hindi as well as in English, and right now the interpretation of the speeches being made by the MPs or ministers in the parliament is available in 22 languages. And then during 1974, the secretariat was revamped, where the functions were combined as well as organized into 11 functional areas, and then the offices were realigned as well as regrouped into 8 services. And then there is no separate law for employing the officers of the parliaments, but the constitution has empowered the parliament to make a law to appoint those officers that is necessary for functioning of the parliament. But until now, no such law has been made. It is only through the rules made by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha as well as the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, the appointment of the officers has been made. In that, the Secretary General is the head of the parliamentary offices, where he will be performing dual role. The first role is he will be aiding as well as advising the Speaker in the case of Lok Sabha or Chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha to do his statutory as well as constitutional mandate. And in the other case, he is in the administrative area, he is the head of the secretariat offices. So these are all the political as well as administrative function being performed by the Secretary General, who is appointed by the respective presiding officers of both the houses. Okay, this is what the historical evolution of the parliament secretariat is about. Okay, let's have a look into how the news is being related to civil service examination. Under prelims, the news is related to Indian polity and governance, political system, Panchayat Raj and public policy. Similarly, under mains, it is related to GS paper 2, GS paper 2, Parliament and State Legislature, its structure, functioning, conduct of business, power, privilege and issues arising out of this. Okay, let's have a look into the functioning of the Secretariat. The Secretariat will be providing secretarial assistance to the ministerial as well as the other member of the parliament, and they will be providing amenities to the Rajya Sabha members, and then they will be serving various successful running of the parliamentary committees, and they will be preparing the research as well as reference material, so that which will be helpful for those MPs or ministers to discuss the bill that has been introduced or the bill that is going to be introduced in the parliament. And then they are also responsible for recruiting the manpower in the secretariat, and also they are also responsible for attending any kind of grievance mechanism, grievance that has been brought to them by the employees of the secretariat, and then they are responsible for preparing and publishing a record of the day-to-day procedures. So these are all the important functioning of the parliamentarian secretariat. Parliament secretariat is about. So these are all the historical evolution as well as the functional aspect of the parliament secretariat is about. And what we needed to study further is, we should know about what is cabinet secretariat and what is central secretariat, and then similarly we should also know about the functioning of the overall functioning of parliament as well as state legislature. Similarly, we should know about what are all the different types of parliamentary committees that is present, and who are all the members of it, and which are all the committees under Lok Sabha and which are all the committees comes under Rajya Sabha. These are all the things which we needed to be aware of. India, Middle East and Europe corridor. See, during the ancient time, India's trade with the European continent is via the Red Sea route, which enabled the integration of both India as well as the European continent with the exchange of trade, so that India could be able to have access to the gold coins which is made by the Europeans, and also the Europeans could also able to access the pearls which India is famous for. So these kind of ancient trade activities has been established and was taking place successfully via the Red Sea route. But now the India, Middle East as well as European corridor provides the alternate mechanism where they will be using sea as well as land and then sea to reach the Europe. This is the modern day corridor. And as we all know right now, the trade to the Europe is taking place via Suez Canal, where it is the one of the busiest trade route, and it is taking huge amount of time to trade a particular commodity from India to Europe and vice versa. And this alternate mechanism, which was formed by the India as well as Middle East country and then European Union, will reduce the logistic cost as well as integrate those three continents in economic, and then it will enable all the three continents to progress in the positive manner. And till now, as I said, the trade is through Suez Canal, and right now the trade route has been changed to sea. This is the trade route where it will be starting from Kandla port, JNPT port, and then Kochi port, and then Mundra port in Gujarat, and from there they will be going to Fujairah port as well as the Ras Al Khair port and Daman port. So these are all the ports that is present across the Gulf countries, and from there they will be moving towards the hinterland port of the Saudi Arabia, and from there they will be moving towards the Hafia port, which is the deep sea port present in Israel, and from there with the help of Mediterranean Sea they will be reaching the European continent, and from the European ports like Piraeus, Kavala, Trieste, La Spezia and Marseille and Barcelona and Valencia. So these are all the ports where the trade container will be reaching after they have departed from the Hafia, that is a port, deep sea port which is present in Israel. And after reaching any of these ports, they will be reaching the hinterland of European port via mix of rail as well as road connectivity. And then what is the important requirement for successful implementation of the IMEC corridor is, the first is robust development or upgradation of the ports which are going to be used in this corridor, and then there need to be new kind of railway system needed to be built, or if there is any kind of railway system that has been already present in the hinterland. For example, see, from India to Gulf countries, it will be the transport will be taking place towards ship. From there, the goods will be offloaded and they will be loaded into trains to reach the Hafia port. So if there is from here, if they wanted to reach the western side of the Middle East country, means it is via through only railways only they could able to reach, because if there is any kind of missing link or there is no railway in this pathway, means then the new railway needed to be built as soon as possible, and then the road infrastructure also should be enhanced if there is any kind of lacuna in the road infrastructure, means within this route. So these are all the requirement, and right now India is implementing more number of projects like Golden Quadrilateral, Bharatamala project. These kind of projects have been made, as well as the schemes being implemented by Ministry of Road to enhance the quality of the road. These kind of the infrastructure schemes being implemented by India to enhance the efficiency of the ports as well as port handling capacities. And then from India to Gulf ports will be operationalized under Gulf Cooperation Council, and from the Gulf ports towards the hinterland, from the Gulf port, the transit needed to take place to Hafia Haifa port, which is present in Israel, means it will be made only through Saudi interland ports, and this from the Gulf port to the Saudi interland port, it will be implemented by Saudi Arabian Rail Network. They will be undertaking the railway enhancement or the upgradation project for the transit that is taking place from the Gulf ports to Haifa port, which is present in Israel, that is western side of the IMEC. And then the connectivity between Saudi, Jordan and Israel, because if we want to reach the Haifa port, which is in Israel, means then we needed to cross the Jordan, which is present in between. So the connectivity project is under planning, and then it needed to be materialized as soon as possible for the efficient implementation of IMEC. And then what is the other requirement is uniformity of railways on standard gauge. Right now, because of the disjointed gauge mechanism is one of the main reason for delay in the transport from one place to another, or the transnational or intercontinental trade. And then feeder route should also be available. See, so the trade will be taking place from here to this place, means it will be taking place through this through this ports only. So if the trade is going to take place through this port, means then the surrounding areas needed to get integrated with those ports, so that the other regional, so it will not only be leading to linear development but also the regional development, because of connecting the smaller minor trade depots with the major port, which is used for the IMEC road. So this kind of things, that is feeder route. So connecting the main trade port, which is used for the IMEC corridor, needed to be connected with the other minor trade depot, which is present along the corridor, so that it could able to enhancement of in the development of the regional development. So what is the positive does the IMEC corridor is going to bring us? That, as I said previously, it is going to reduce logistic costs. Similarly, they are going to produce electricity with the help of hydrogen, so that the carbon footprint that is going to be produced out of the project will be reduced, or the corridor, the transshipment process is going to be reduced. And then the transfer of technology is the main thing that is going to be taking place with the help of because of the implementation of IMEC corridor, because of the railway tracks and the efficiency of the road, as well as the standard gauge, and then the enhancement in the efficiency of the port system, needed some deployment of technologies. And India being the member of the IMEC corridor, India has a chance to able to access the technologies by being a part of it. So these are all the advantage and the requirement, as well as the details in relation to the IMEC corridor is about. How the news is related to examination is, under prelims, the news is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains, it is related to bilateral, regional, global groupings and agreements involving India, affecting India's interest. So what we needed to study further is, we should know about what is Belt and Road Initiative project, which country is implementing it, and what is the current status of its implementing it. Similarly, we also should know about the infrastructure development project of India, like Bharatmala project and then Golden Quadrilateral project. Similarly, we should also know about the geography of Middle East, Mediterranean Sea, and then European continent, and then India's major ports as well as minor ports. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. Pradhan Mantri Wi-Fi access network interface. So the articles is related to the lacuna in the digital lacuna in the digital public infrastructure to reach the last mile connectivity, and also what the implementation of Pradhan Mantri Wi-Fi interface scheme brings about by enabling the last mile connectivity in terms of digital infrastructure. Right now, the Digital India program has 3 objectives. First is service on demand, then digital infra, and then empowering people digitally. So these are all the objective of Digital India program. But after the while starting the implementation of the Digital India program, along with the other changes in the policies and the evolution of technologies like mobile boom and 4G connectivity during that period, and then reduction in the tariff of the digital connectivity, and then enhancement of digital public infrastructure programs, these kind of things ensure that the Digital India program to be implemented successfully. And then after some period, a particular individual could able what is the average data being consumed by particular individual during a month is, it is 19.5 GB per month, and the gap is still there in terms of demand and affordable supply. More importantly, the gap is very huge for those people, those who are below poverty, and also those people, those who are present in the marginal rural areas. Under Pradhan Mantri Wi-Fi network interface was initially recommended by Department of Telecom in 2017, but there was some initial opposition by cellular organization, a cellular union, where they have said that they will be implementing the decentralized Wi-Fi hotspot across the areas, but it has not been done. So the Department of Telecom has approached the Union Cabinet and they got the approval in 2020. So after getting the approval from the Cabinet in 2020, it was ready to be implemented, but because of the disruption made by the COVID, the project couldn't able to be take off, and right now it is the stage to get take off. And then what is the positive thus the PM-wifi scheme is going to bring is, it will be enabling the last mile connectivity of the digital infrastructure, and then it will be making the digital access or the digital facilities very cheaper to the people, those who could not able to afford. Similarly, it also increase the nano entrepreneurs. The nano entrepreneurs means the household members, the retail workshop, retail shop owners, and then the street vendors. These kind of people could able to turn themselves into the Wi-Fi hotspot provider by registering in the central registry without any kind of registration fees, so that they could able to earn a certain amount as income. And then the internet, from the side of internet service provider, they are also having a benefit. How they will be having a benefit is that they will be selling their bandwidth to the retail consumers who are going to provide the facilities, Wi-Fi facilities to the end consumers. And right now, before the PM-wifi scheme is being introduced, there was Railtel, GAIL. They also have the objective of providing the internet facility to those those who are present in the last mile across the country. But their resource as well as the planning which was made for it was not utilized until now fully. So how the news has been related to civil service examiner is, Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under means it is related to inclusive growth and issues arising from it. Okay, let's have a look into the details of PM-wifi scheme, where the public Wi-Fi will be provided through public data office. The public data office could be run by, as I said, a individual household or the retail shop owners or the street vendors or any other common individual could be able to run the public data office. And then how they could be able to run the data offices by registering with the central registry without any, they don't require any license or registration fees for it. And then central registry, as I said, central registry will be maintaining the register of PDOs. The app provider could also provide the Wi-Fi hotspot to the end retail consumers. And then PDOs, public data office members. And then the entire scheme is being implemented by is Department of Telecom. And as I said, the project aims to ensure that the digital connectivity reaches the last mile of the people. Cheaper access to the data. So by paying 5 rupees to 10 rupees, particular person could be able to access to the Wi-Fi for a particular day. And then it will be ensuring the employment opportunity by giving the people, those who are interested to provide the Wi-Fi hotspot to the members, those who are present in the surrounding areas, by converting themselves into the nano entrepreneurs. So these are all the positives this Wi-Fi PM-wifi scheme is going to bring. So what is the challenges in digital penetration in India? Is the first and foremost challenge is the geography and topographical challenge. Similarly, the cost of tariff, as I said in the previous slide, is not still affordable for those people who are present in the rural areas and also those people, those who are living in the below poverty section. And then because of digital illiteracy, they could not able to access the digital infrastructure. Similarly, because of threats that is arising out of these digital penetration like cyber security and other cyber stalking, this kind of things, making the people to neglect the it is creating a fear among the people to use the digital technologies. More importantly, those people, those who don't have any kind of awareness in relation to the digital technology, and then it has increased the compliance cost in the industries, more importantly in small and medium industries and as well as micro industries. So there is a challenge in the digital penetration because of these reasons. What is the advantage does the digital penetration brings is that first is it will be making the access to services like the government public services very easy, and it will be making the access as paperless, and then it will in turn reduce the corruption that is being made by the other agents, commission agents. Similarly, it will ensure the transparency and accountability of the government machineries, and then it will be able to enable those people, those who are present in the rural or other marginalized section to access the market for the products which has been produced by them. Most importantly, it will strengthen the MSME sectors by enabling them to reach the market across the boundaries, and then it will be empowering the common citizen by making them available with the data necessary for their empowerment. So these are all the advantage, disadvantage and the details of the PM-wifi scheme is about. What needed to be studied further is we should know about what is digital protection bill. Secondly, we should know about the right to privacy, under which case the right to privacy has been made as fundamental right, we should know. Second is, we should know about what is IT Act 2000 and the important provisions of it, and the Cyber Security Policy 2013. And then another news is the news related to inflation. The inflation has eased in the month of August and compared to the month of July. See, in the month of August, the inflation is 6.8%, but it is still higher than the upper band limit set by the Monetary Policy Committee. But it is lesser than the previous month of 7.44. What is the reason is, it is because of easing in the price of the vegetables. And then the core inflation is also at a steady rate of 4.9%. So this is what the news is related to. How the news is related to examination is, under prelims the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains it is related to GS3 economic and development under Indian economy. Okay, let's have a look into what is the inflation. Inflation is nothing but the rise in price of the goods as well as the service being used by the common individual. Similarly, the inflation is the indicative for the indication of the decrease in the purchasing power of the particular individual. So this is what the inflation is about. What is the types of inflation? First is stagflation. Whenever there is a situation like higher inflation is there, but at the same time the GDP growth as well as the unemployment rate is, the GDP growth is lower and unemployment rate is very higher. These kind of things happening in an economy means then the economy is facing a situation called as stagflation. Headline inflation is the overall inflation being faced by the country, which includes those articles like vegetables and then energy products which have the potential to get changed because of the which has the potential to get changed very frequently. And then core inflation is neglecting the energy price as well as the vegetable price, which is very volatile whenever when we are calculating the inflation is called as core inflation. Disinflation is the reduced rate of inflation. The inflation is happening, the price rise is happening, but it is happening at the reduced percentage rise. This kind of the situation is called as disinflation. These are all the types of inflation. What is the causes for inflation in economy is, first is cost push factor. Whenever there is a rise in the price of production cost or the factor cost means there will be rise in the output products, and the situation where the the price of the output product has risen because of the rise of factor cost, then it is called as cost push product. And then demand pull product, whenever the product's price has risen because of the excessive demand that is happening in the economy, then it is called as demand full inflation. Similarly, whenever there is a excess liquidity that is present in the system means then the people will be having enormous amount of purchasing power, so they will be spending more on things other than the necessary items. So as a result of which the demand for the particular product will be increased, which in turn will be leading to increased price of the products. How the inflation affects in an economy is that, first and foremost is that it will be reducing the purchasing power of the particular individual. So, and then similarly it will be impacting the low income people, that the percentage of amount they are spending in the food as well as other necessary items will get increased. And thirdly, it will be rising the production cost, the labor cost, the capital cost, as well as the other factor cost. And then it will be reducing the investment, because whenever there is the increase in the inflation means there will be reduced purchasing power. Reduced purchasing power means less demand. Less demand means there will be lesser production, which in turn mean there is withdrawal of investment is taking place, and then because of increased product price or products which is produced locally will be less competitive in the global arena when compared to the other cheaper products that is available in the global arena from the other countries. And then reduced economic growth is also the final outcome of the prevailing inflation in an economy. And then how the inflation is measured in India is, it is measured under two index. First is wholesale price index, which is released by Ministry of Commerce, where the basket of goods have been valued according to the transaction that is being made between the wholesale industries. And then the consumer price inflation, which is being released by Ministry of Statistics, where each products or the basket of goods that has been calculated in the CPI has been valued based on the retail transactions. So by using those two index only the inflation is calculated, but in India we are using consumer price index to know what is the exact inflation situation in India. So what needed to be studied further is, we should know about what is Monetary Policy Committee, what is its structure, what is its objective, and who are all the member of it. Secondly, we should know about the RBI, and then thirdly we should know about GDP, GNP, NNP, GNP. These kind of basic concepts also we should be aware of. Then fourthly, we should also know about what is purchasing power parity, and then convertibility. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. So let's have a look into today's practice prelims question. So this is the practice prelims question. I want those students, those who are watching the session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. So with this, we have reached the end of the session. So thank you, students.